Silence is not the absence of noise, it is the presence of something deeper than words. In today's world, silence is seen almost as a void to be filled with music, chatter, scrolling, or mental commentary. But silence is not a void. Silence is a womb. It is where truth is conceived. When you allow yourself to sit in true silence, not just externally but internally, you begin to experience life, not through the noise of your thoughts, but through the presence of your being. For most people, silence feels uncomfortable at first. There's a strange restlessness, an urge to reach for something, to speak, to move, to check a device, to engage. But this discomfort is not caused by silence, it is exposed by it. Silence doesn't create noise, it reveals it. All the mental clutter, emotional residue, and inner agitation that you suppress with distraction start rising to the surface when you sit in stillness. And that is where the purification begins. When you start embracing silence, you begin to hear something far more profound than any conversation, the voice of your own consciousness. It's subtle at first, like a whisper lost in the wind. But if you stay with it, if you give it space, it begins to speak in a language beyond words. Insight dawns, intuition sharpens, you begin to feel truth not as an idea, but as a living experience. You may find tears, you may find joy, you may find resistance. But most of all, you'll find yourself. Spending even a few minutes a day in conscious silence transforms the way you respond to the world. You become less reactive, more centered. Your urge to control everything weakens. A deeper trust in the flow of life arises, not as a philosophy, but as your natural state. In that space of quiet, you stop trying to fix everything. You realize that not everything is meant to be fixed. Some things are meant to be observed, accepted, and let go. Silence becomes your inner compass. This is why ancient sages, mystics, and enlightened ones valued silence so deeply. It was not about renunciation, it was about reconnection. In silence, you meet existence without filters. You begin to see not just with the eyes, but with presence. You don't need a mountain top or a monastery to taste this. All you need is a few moments, a little willingness, and the courage to face yourself without distraction. Let the world do what it does. Nature is not just a backdrop to human life, it is the source of it. Everything that breathes, grows, flows, and blossoms on this planet is intricately connected with you. Yet most people walk on this earth as if they are visitors, separate from the soil, the wind, the water, the trees. In the rush of modern living, we built walls, concrete, mental, and emotional, that keep us insulated from the natural world. But behind all the noise, your body still remembers. It came from this earth, and to this earth, and to this earth it will return. Go outside, not to jog, not to click a picture, not to update your feed, but just to be. Take off your shoes, place your feet on the bare ground. Feel the coolness of the soil, the texture of leaves, the warmth of the sun. These are not random sensations, they are sacred connections. When your body touches the earth without resistance, it begins to settle. Anxiety slows, breath deepens, your nervous system starts to find its rhythm again. What you call healing is simply the body remembering its original frequency, its communion with the natural elements. Look at a tree, not with a hurried glance, but with presence. That tree is not a decoration, it is an ancient life form that stood still while generations of humans passed by. Watch how it holds space, how it gives without taking, how it responds to seasons without complaint. There's a silent intelligence in nature, an unconditional acceptance of what is. To sit under a tree, to watch a river, to listen to birdsong is to sit with a teacher far wiser than any book. Nature doesn't preach, but it teaches simply by being. Spend time in natural spaces not to escape life, but to remember life. You were not made to stare at screens all day, to live under fluorescent lights, to walk only on concrete. Your body needs sunlight, your lungs need fresh air. Your spirit needs the sound of leaves rustling and water flowing and water flowing. Even if you live in a city, find a patch of green, a garden, a single plant on your balcony. Sit with it, touch it, talk to it. not as a human to a plant, but as one living being to another. You'll be surprised what begins to open within you. The more you connect with nature, the more humble you become. You realize you are not the master of this planet, you are its guest, and a guest must tread with gratitude, not arrogance. When you align yourself with the cycles of nature, sunrise and sunset, moon phases, changing seasons, you begin to live with rhythm, not resistance. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. There is a wisdom there, waiting to be absorbed, not through analysis, but through intimacy. And this intimacy awakens something ancient within you, something wordless, vast, and beautifully alive. Most human beings spend their entire lives looking outward, chasing experiences, people, events, and possessions, hoping that something out there will fulfill something in here. The irony is, everything you truly seek, peace, joy, clarity, love, has never existed outside. It is all within. Hmm. But unless one takes the time to turn inward, this truth remains an untouched possibility. Turning inward doesn't mean rejecting the world, it means beginning to explore the very source of your experience. You. You. The senses constantly keep you engaged with the outer world. You see, hear, touch, taste and smell what's around you, but you rarely sit to observe what's happening inside your breath, your thoughts, your emotions, your energies. To turn inward means to become aware of this internal atmosphere. It is not about thinking or philosophizing, it's about direct perception. Sit still for a few minutes each day, not to pray or chant, but simply to observe. Let the body be, let the mind be, let the breath move, just watch. Even 5 minutes of honest inner observation can bring more clarity than hours of external searching. Modern life has made this practice seem unnecessary, even strange. People are too busy, too distracted, too afraid to be alone with themselves. But that is exactly why it's essential. When you close your eyes and begin to look inside, you may first encounter restlessness. The mind may rebel, emotions may rise. This is natural. The noise you hear is not created by the act of turning inward. It's always been there. You're simply becoming aware of it for the first time, and what is seen can be transformed. Over time, this inner turning creates distance between you and what you experience. You begin to realize you are not your thoughts, not your moods, not even your suffering. You are the witness to all these things. This is where the shift begins. Slowly the chaos loses its grip, the compulsions weaken. A certain silence, a certain stillness begins to rise within you, not created by effort, but revealed through attention. That stillness is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something vast and untouched within you. In that silence, you begin to taste freedom. Not the kind of freedom that comes from breaking chains, but the freedom that comes from knowing that nothing can bind you in the first place. The world may continue as it is, full of noise and motion, but your center remains untouched. This is the power of turning inward daily. You do not need to change your life, escape your duties, or isolate yourself in mountains. Just sit wherever you are and start the journey inward. What you are looking for is not far. It has always been with you, waiting to be seen. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as something we offer for the benefit of another, as if we are granting them mercy. But the deeper truth is, forgiveness is not a gift to them. It is freedom for you. When you carry resentment, when you replay wounds in your mind, you are not punishing the one who hurt you. You are imprisoning yourself. The burden of unforgiven pain is not stored in your enemy's body. It lives in your own. To forgive is to cut the rope that ties you to the past and allows you to walk free. Pain is real, betrayal is real, words can wound, actions can break hearts. But holding on to that pain long after the moment has passed is like carrying a burning coal in your palm, waiting to throw it at someone. Meanwhile, it is you who gets burned. This is not to say you must forget or invalidate what happened. It means you no longer allow what happened to dictate the quality of your present life. When you forgive, you reclaim power over your own peace. Many people try to forgive only with their minds. They say, "I've forgiven," but their body still tightens when they hear that name. Their heart still closes when they remember. True forgiveness is not just a decision, it is a process. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it needs to be revisited. It may require you to sit with your pain, to breathe through it, to cry, to release. But that every time you let go a little, the grip of that hurt begins to loosen. And slowly, the heart begins to soften. Forgiveness is not weakness. It does not mean allowing people to harm you again. It does not mean returning to toxic situations. It means acknowledging the wound, feeling it fully, and then choosing not to carry it forward. You forgive not because they were right, but because you want to be free. You deserve peace, and peace cannot coexist with bitterness. Let the past be what it was, raw, real, painful, but let the present be yours again. The one who hurt you may never apologize. They may never understand the damage they did, but that does not matter. This is not about them. This is about your own healing. When you forgive truly and completely, there is no need to tell the world. The evidence will be in your eyes, your breath, your lightness. You will walk with grace, no longer dragged by the weight of unhealed history. Forgiveness is not a favor, it is liberation. Every action a human being takes is usually loaded with expectation. You plant a seed, you want fruit. You offer love, you want it returned. You work hard, you want success. This is natural, but this is also where suffering begins. When the outcome becomes more important than the process, the present moment becomes a means to an end. You are no longer living. You are bargaining with life. True engagement is when you do what you do not for what it will give you, but for what it makes of you. You look closely, you'll see that your anxiety, your restlessness, your emotional turmoil, most of it is rooted in imagined futures. Will this succeed? Or will I like me? How will I be recognized? This constant forecasting of outcomes robs you of the only space where life is actually happening now. Detaching from outcome is not becoming careless or indifferent. It is becoming deeply involved without being enslaved. It is the art of pouring yourself into something completely while remaining untouched by where it may go. When you cook a meal, play music, build something, or love someone, try doing it without expectation. Feel the moment. Taste the richness of your effort without craving a result. This is where joy lives. This is where mastery is born. Masters in any field, arts, sports, science, did not become masters because they fixated on results. They got lost in the doing. In fact, they dissolved in the doing. They weren't chasing the outcome, they were dancing with the process. The outcome simply became a byproduct. When you give yourself to a moment fully, something within you aligns. There's a coherence between your mind, body, emotion, and energy. This alignment brings an effortless intensity, a flow. You will notice you begin to do things better, more joyfully, more creatively, not because of a carrot at the end, but because your very act has become meditative. The work becomes its own reward. The connection becomes the gift, the breath becomes the prayer. And what if the result never comes the way you imagined? Then what? If you were fully engaged, you will not feel broken, you will feel enriched. Life is not a guarantee, it is a gift. What you gain from deep involvement is not just the possibility of success, it is the transformation of who you are. Whether the world calls it victory or failure, you walk away elevated, not empty. That is the power of detaching from outcome while engaging fully with life. Clutter is not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's energetic. A cluttered life is a noisy life, one where your clarity is buried under things, tasks, attachments and identities that have outlived their purpose. Many people think productivity means doing more, collecting more, being more. Quite true, but wisdom often lies in less. Before this year ends, begin to examine everything you carry. Ask, is this still serving me or am I simply carrying it out of habit, fear or guilt? Look around your space, your room, your office, your closet. Every object holds memory, emotion, inertia. If you have not used something in months, or if it weighs on your energy each time you see it, it is no longer just an object. It has become psychological baggage. Clearing your space is not about becoming minimal, It's about creating a sacred environment that breathes freshness and freedom. Your outer environment is a reflection of your inner state. A chaotic space breeds a chaotic mind, but it goes deeper. The real clutter is in your thoughts. How many opinions, beliefs, and memories are you clinging to that no longer support your growth? Just because something once defined you doesn't mean it must continue to do so. People hold on to emotional debris, old grudges, unresolved guilt, fears dressed as logic because they're afraid of emptiness. But emptiness is space, and in space, new life can happen. Uncluttering your relationships is perhaps the most painful yet powerful step. How many connections are sustained not by love or mutual growth, but by obligation, guilt, or emotional dependency? To let go is not to reject, it is to release what has turned stagnant. Relationships, like rivers, must flow. When you no longer pretend, no longer force, no longer cling, you give both yourself and the other the freedom to be authentic. That is the highest form of respect. This process of uncluttering is not something to be done in a single sweep. It is a way of living. It is choosing lightness over accumulation, silence over noise over compulsion. The more you let go of things, patterns, people, identities, the more life begins to move through you. You become a clear vessel, not weighed down by what was, but open to what is. And in that openness, life becomes effortless, graceful, alive.